Operation Barbarossa was Nazi Germany's massive invasion of the Soviet Union, launched on June 22, 1941. It was the largest military operation in history, involving millions of soldiers, thousands of tanks, and vast air forces. Adolf Hitler believed the campaign would bring a quick and decisive victory, destroying Soviet power in a matter of months. Instead, Barbarossa became a catastrophic failure that drained Germany's strength and ultimately led to its defeat in World War II. Background and Hitler's aims. Despite signing the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact in 1939, Hitler always intended to attack the Soviet Union. His ideology viewed communism as a mortal enemy and Slavic peoples as racially inferior. Beyond ideology, Hitler sought Lebensraum, living space, in the East and control over Soviet resources such as Ukrainian grain and Caucasian oil. By early 1941, Germany dominated much of Europe. Hitler believed Britain would eventually make peace and that defeating the USSR would secure German supremacy on the continent. The scale of the invasion. Operation Barbarossa began with a surprise attack across a 3,000-kilometer front. Nearly 3 million Axis troops, supported by around 3,500 tanks and 2,700 aircraft, crossed into Soviet territory. German forces were divided into three main army groups. Army Group North advanced toward Leningrad. Army Group Center aimed for Moscow. Army Group South moved into Ukraine. Initially, the German blitzkrieg strategy appeared devastatingly effective. Early German successes. In the opening weeks, German forces achieved massive encirclements, capturing or killing millions of Soviet soldiers. The Red Army was poorly prepared, partly due to Stalin's purges of the officer corps in the 1930s, which weakened leadership and morale. Key cities fell, Soviet air power was largely destroyed on the ground, and German commanders believed total victory was imminent. Hitler famously predicted that the Soviet state would collapse like a rotten structure. Strategic mistakes and overconfidence. Despite early success, Barbarossa suffered from fatal strategic flaws. German planning assumed the war would end before winter and failed to prepare troops for cold weather. Supply lines stretched hundreds of kilometers across poor roads and vast distances, causing fuel and ammunition shortages. Hitler also interfered with military strategy, diverting forces from the drive on Moscow to capture Ukraine and Leningrad. These delays gave the Soviets valuable time to regroup and mobilize reserves. Soviet resistance and mobilization. Contrary to German expectations, the Soviet Union did not collapse. Instead, it mobilized on an unprecedented scale. Factories were dismantled and moved east of the Ural Mountains beyond German reach. Soviet industry soon outproduced Germany in tanks, artillery, and aircraft. The Red Army adapted its tactics, learning from early defeats. New commanders, including Georgy Zhukov, organized effective defenses and counterattacks. Soviet soldiers fought with growing determination, driven by patriotism and the brutal reality of German occupation. Winter and the battle for Moscow. By late 1941, German forces reached the outskirts of Moscow, but winter arrived before they could capture the city. Temperatures dropped to -30 degrees Celsius, freezing weapons, vehicles, and soldiers alike. German troops lacked winter clothing, while Soviet forces were better prepared. In December 1941, the Red Army launched a major counteroffensive, pushing the Germans back from Moscow. This marked the first major strategic defeat of the German army in World War II. Brutality and war of extermination. Operation Barbarossa was not just a military campaign, it was a war of annihilation. Nazi policies targeted civilians, Jews, and political commissars. Einsatzgruppen followed the army, carrying out mass executions. These atrocities hardened Soviet resistance and ensured the conflict would be fought to the bitter end. Why Barbarossa failed? Several factors explain the failure of Operation Barbarossa. Underestimation of Soviet manpower and resilience. Poor logistics and overstretched supply lines. Lack of preparation for winter warfare. Hitler's strategic interference. The Soviet Union's industrial and military recovery. Together, these factors turned initial German success into long-term disaster.